will start with this. Well, one story, if that's what you want to call it, that is grabbing people's attention in the boxing community, the boxing world, on the heels of this weekend's unification match in the 140-pound division. Gervonta Davis has said that he would like to fight Josh Taylor.
Yeah, right.
And that he's quote-unquote calling Al. He's going to call Al Heyman, see if he can get the wheels in motion for that fight. What do I think about these comments? What do I think about Gervonta Davis, quote-unquote, potentially fighting Josh Taylor? I'll tell you what I think about it. I don't think much of it.
No.
I don't. Okay, Gervonta Davis sat there at 130 pounds for a very long time, not fighting the very best fighters in that weight class, okay? These are realities. These are not my opinions. These are not my anecdotes. The truth of it is that Gervonta Davis is a two-time super featherweight champion, and for being a two-time super featherweight champion, he didn't fight the vast majority of good fighters in that weight class.
He didn't.
He never fought Vasyl Lomachenko, never fought Farmer, never fought Bichelt, never fought Ito, never fought Herring, never fought Machado, never fought Cancillo, okay?
Or Roman.
Never fought none of these guys. So I'm supposed to believe he's going to fight Josh Taylor at 140 pounds when Davis is just now moving into 135?
Give me a break.
I mean, what we're going to see at 135 is more or less the same thing we just saw at 130. Gervonta Davis isn't going to face the best and brightest fighters there either. I'm not holding my breath to see Gervonta Davis versus Luke Campbell, Devin Haney, these guys. I'm not expecting to see that. Are you kidding?
No way.
For all this talk of Gervonta Davis potentially fighting Josh Taylor now, or maybe fighting Vasyl Lomachenko, all this bullshit, all this bickering amongst the fans, for all these conversations, for all this talk, the reality of it is that his plan hasn't changed. He's still fighting Yuriorkis Gamboa, and he still means to fight Leo Santa Cruz thereafter. That is the plan, and those are the guys that Gervonta Davis is most likely to fight. Thus, any conversations involving a Lomachenko, any conversations involving a Josh Taylor at 140 pounds, it's all bullshit. It's all smoke and mirrors. Gervonta Davis is very much clout chasing that fighter because that fighter has gotten himself a lot of positive press this weekend. And what Gervonta Davis seeks to do is to use that energy, use the synergy around that fighter by attaching his name to that fighter. So while Gervonta Davis is fighting the likes of a Yuriorkis Gamboa and a Leo Santa Cruz, he'll have the fans arguing about a Josh Taylor fight, as if that fight's actually going to happen.
It's not.
It's not. It's not, folks. It's not going to happen. So why argue about it? Why give it any air? Why give it the time of day?
It's not happening.
Hell, I wasn't going to say anything about it because I don't think there's anything to this story. It's not going to materialize into anything. For all the arguing that was associated with the Farmer fight, for all the arguing that was associated with the Lomachenko fight, Gervonta Davis hasn't fought either of them, along with the vast majority of good fighters in the 130-pound division. He didn't fight none of those guys. Okay, so he's up here at 35 now. We see what he's planning on doing. So why should a Josh Taylor conversation even see the light of day? Why should anyone entertain that when we all know Gervonta Davis, in all likelihood, does not fight that fighter? You don't do it.
He's a niche fighter.
Clout chaser. What he's looking to do is to take the positive press that Josh Taylor is receiving on the heels of a spectacular showing in a spectacular fight. He's looking to take the attention that that fighter is getting and siphon off some of it for himself by attaching his name to that fighter, even though he has no intention of fighting him. In that way, he's just clout chasing Josh Taylor. It's not to be confused with Devin Haney and Vasyl Lomachenko. Devin Haney wasn't merely name-dropping Vasyl Lomachenko. He actively pursued him. He became his mandatory challenger because it was his intention to beat the best, to be the best. Okay, Devin Haney is serious business, whereas Gervonta Davis is little more than a niche fighter. A clout chaser, a guy who wants the fans arguing about fights that he knows are not going to happen, but he'll use that energy to stay in conversations that he doesn't even really belong in. What is Gervonta Davis to the 140-pound division when he hasn't so much as thrown a punch in the 135-pound division? What is he? I'll tell you what he is. He's a clout chaser.
A parasite.
And you know what Gervonta Davis's moron fans are gonna say?
Why would Gervonta have to clout chase Josh Taylor? He's a bigger name.
You sure?
Is he a bigger name?
You sure?
In what capacity? What is it that Gervonta Davis is doing that is captivating people's attention? In what situation was he ever involved in that was equivocal to the situation that Josh Taylor was just involved in? A unification match, a real firefight against the very best fighter at his weight.
One of them.
Or one of them, you know? What situation? I mean, Gervonta Davis is still trying to coattail the success from the fucking Pedraza fight. He's still riding that scooter. That fight was years ago. He hasn't done anything significant since that fight. But that's all, that's all he's really done of note. Beat Jose Pedraza for the IBF title at 130 pounds. He's at 135 now, hasn't beaten anyone of note ever since. And he's hoping to garner attention for this Gamboa fight that, you know what? A lot of people probably aren't even interested in. But he's looking to garner attention for his activity, what he's doing by attaching his name to the name of a hot fighter right now. A hot topic right now. That's what he's doing because Gervonta Davis, Leonard Ellaby, his team, they know. Gervonta Davis isn't doing anything that's grabbing anyone's attention. You can't compare selling cheap tickets at an armory in Baltimore to what Josh Taylor just did in unifying titles against Regis Prograis in front of a packed house at the O2 Arena on a Sky Sports pay-per-view. 16-0, Josh Taylor's already done this. Participated in a pay-per-view, headlined it in a big fight against a good fighter, unified 2 world titles. He's done this in 16 pro fights. Gervonta Davis, he's a 2-time super featherweight champion. He has yet to face the very best fighters in his weight class, whether we're talking about 130 or 135. Never unified anything either.
There's no comparison.
There's no comparison between these two guys. There just isn't, okay? There is nothing on paper. The numbers do not show that Gervonta Davis is a bigger name comparatively than Josh Taylor. What the numbers show is that Josh Taylor's
making moves.
If anything, he's amassing a lot of momentum very quickly, and it's because, well, Josh Taylor's people, they're not protecting him from the very best fighters in all the ways that Gervonta Davis's people have been protecting him from the very best fighters. That's the difference, okay? And it's for this reason that this niche fighter, this parasite, this clout chaser, is trying to attach his name to the name of Josh Taylor. So he gives something to the fans, he gives them something to argue about when he knows they're not pursuing no fucking Josh Taylor fight. They're not pursuing that fight any more than they're pursuing a Vasyl Lomachenko fight. He just wants people arguing about it so that they can write stories about it, so that the journos will regularly report on it. Keep his name in circulation, even though the reality of it is he's not fighting that fucking guy.
You kidding?
The way, bro.
Typical of those PBC clout chasers. This is typical of those PBC niche fighters. It's what they're doing. Now, this past weekend, former IBF 130-pound champion Robert Easter squared off against Adrian Granados and effectively dipped his toe in the pool of the 140-pound division. And he says that he feels strong at that weight and he's coming for all the belts. But this further denotes the clout chasing that I'm talking about, because we all know that Robert Easter is a PBC fighter, and we all know that the PBC has no belts on their side of the street. Thus, what are the odds that Robert Easter is going to find himself in there with a Jose Ramirez, a top-ranked fighter, or a Josh Taylor, who's likely to end up on the Matchroom side of the street? What are the odds that Robert Easter is going to make good on his words? What are the odds? In all likelihood, what's going to happen with Robert Easter is what's happening with Gervonta Davis, is what's also happening with Jean Pascal and Badou Jack. What these guys are going to do is they're going to end up holding baby belts, lesser titles, interim titles, and they're going to try to use these baby belts not to pursue fights with the full-fledged champions so much as to decorate their run-of-the-mill, regular-ass fights. That's what's likely to happen. I'm not holding my fucking breath to see Robert Easter fight a Jose Ramirez, or a Josh Taylor, or an Ivan Baranchyk, or a Regis Prograis. Are you fucking kidding? Look at how many punches Adrian Granados landed on this guy. I don't care if you want to call it a robbery, you don't want to call it a robbery. Just look at the punch stats and imagine that it were Jose Ramirez landing that many punches on Robert Easter, or Regis Prograis, Josh Taylor landing that many punches on Robert Easter, okay? It would be a very different situation than what he faced this past Saturday with Adrian Granados, because Adrian is tough, but God bless him, he's seen better days. These other guys, they could seriously hurt Robert Easter. It's for this reason, in spite of him saying that he's looking at belts, he's just another clout chaser. You're not going to pursue a fight with Jose Ramirez. You're not going to pursue a fight with Josh Taylor. You're not. And if a Ivan Baranchyk or a Regis Prograis name get thrown into the hat, you'll try to overlook them because they don't have belts, thus you don't want to take a chance on them. That's what's likely to happen. The boxing community is getting wise, very wise, to the PBC's business practices, and that's why they know almost immediately what fights are feasible and what fights are not feasible as a result of the PBC's own strategy. That they want to keep everything in-house.
We know.
Those things in mind, Robert Easter making the suggestion that he's going to come after all the belts, nobody believes that shit.
Fuck outta
Okay,
here.
you're likely gonna fight for a WBA gold or an interim or a WBC silver or something, but what you're not gonna do is challenge one of the champions. Nobody believes that fucking shit, not for a second. In the case of Gervonta Davis, what's he doing? He's fighting Gamboa for a baby belt. Not a full-fledged world title. He's not challenging Vasyl Lomachenko for anything he's got. He's not likely to face the winner of Comey versus Lopez, so what's he doing? He's fighting for a baby belt. The same kind of baby belt that's on the line in the Jack versus Pascal fight. You would have thought that maybe Pascal would use that as a segue to contend for a full-fledged world title, but he's not going to do that. I told you they were going to do a round-robin with that thing. They're going to have Jack fight Pascal, and then the winner of that fight is likely going to fight Marcus Brown. That's what they're going to do, but not a single one of them is going to challenge the full-fledged world champions at light heavyweight. It's for this reason that these guys, they're niche fighters. They're clout chasers. They're trying to gaslight everybody into thinking that they're the hottest fighters at the weight or they're in these important fights when they're not. You're trying to pass off regular old run-of-the-mill fights as mega matches, and not a single one of them are.
Not one.
The PBC's fans are known for being delusional, but their execs, their higher-ups, they've got to be a bit delusional too, because what are you expecting the boxing community to do? Are you expecting us to sneeze at fights like Prograis versus Taylor, or Vosdick versus Beterbiev, Canelo versus Kovalev, Joshua versus Ruiz 2? You're expecting us to sneeze at those matches in place of what?
What?
In place of what?
What?
Easter versus Granados? Davis versus Gamboa? What? Lubin versus Gilmore? You think that, what do you think, we're stupid?
We'd have to be.
Oh, I know. You think we're supposed to sneeze at fights like Joshua versus Ruiz 2 so that we can pay you guys $75 a pop to see a recycled fight between Deontay Wilder and Luis Ortiz, a fight that Showtime didn't think enough of to actually pick up. Showtime, that has been in the Deontay Wilder business for as long as I can remember, has finally had enough. Like, no, we're not doing it. Doesn't make any financial sense. Ladies and gentlemen, all I'm going to say is these guys, they're clout chasers, they're niche fighters, and it's becoming harder and harder for them to gaslight the boxing community, because we know what they are. They're parasites. Now, just speaking of these clout chasers, these parasites, Deontay Wilder had this to say in regards to Tyson Fury, his lineal status, that Fury's not a champion. He's got a make-believe belt. And, you know, the last couple of weeks, the last couple of months, Wilder's been expressing this sentiment in regards to Tyson Fury's now very questionable lineal status. Yeah, there are people out there that are questioning as to whether or not Tyson Fury actually is the lineal champion. But whether you think he is or isn't is kind of besides the point when you're trying to assess what Deontay Wilder's saying, because let's say that it's the way that Wilder tells it, right? Fury ain't no lineal champion. You're not a real champion. You got a make-believe belt, okay? A belt nobody can see, a belt nobody can hold, okay? That's what you got. That's all you've got. Let's run with that. And then let's ask, okay, if all this is true, Deontay, then why did you choose to fight him instead of Anthony Joshua?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't have it both ways. You chose to fight Tyson Fury instead of fighting Anthony Joshua, who had 3 very real physical belts, 4 actually, that you could have held in your hand. It would have got you a 5th, the Ring Magazine belt, because as we all know, it's going to take it would have took, I should say, it would have took for Anthony Joshua to square off against Deontay Wilder for the Ring Magazine title to even be involved. Deontay Wilder's fight with Tyson Fury, that didn't qualify, and Anthony Joshua's fight with Joseph Parker, that didn't qualify. It would have took for those two guys to fight each other for it to be for the Ring Magazine title, the most coveted title of all the world titles in these divisions, because it's the hardest to come by and the hardest to keep. And yet, you know, if Deontay Wilder really gave a damn about actual belts that you can hold in your hand, why'd he decide to fight Tyson Fury instead of Anthony Joshua? You're saying now that this guy's not a champion. You're saying now that all he's got is a make-believe title. Okay, you're the idiot that chose to fight him for that make-believe title. And you're gonna be fighting him again. You know, I mean, you can't downplay the guy.
And pick him.
You can't downplay his status as a lineal champion by saying he's no champion at all, because, well, if you do, that's basically saying that you rejected the opportunity to fight a full-fledged, legitimate, unified champion with belts to fight a guy who you say has nothing but a make-believe belt. Okay, well, if that's all he's got, why the fuck did you choose him? Why'd you fight him? What is it? Did you pick a cherry and it didn't work out how you thought? You thought you were going to knock him out easy? You didn't think you were going to go in there and languish the way that you did? That's what I think happened. That's why I really think he fought Tyson Fury. Because he thought it was going to be easy, and he thought that that would push him forward. You know, raise his marquee value, raise his profile. Yet all that fight has actually done is raise awareness of Tyson Fury with the American public. Now, this guy's making a multi-million-dollar payday with the WWE. That's on top of the millions of dollars he's getting from ESPN. You know, that's on top of that. I mean, if there was anything that came from that fight, it's that more Americans are now aware of Tyson Fury than there were before. That's about it. Now, can we expect the Tyson Fury versus Wilder rematch, if and when it goes down? Can we expect that rematch to be considerably bigger than the first fight? I dare say no. I mean, in all honesty, if it does end up doing a little better, it won't be by much. I'm not expecting the rematch to do anything to the tune of 450 to 500,000 pay-per-view buys. I'm just not. In all honesty, there really isn't that big a demand, if a demand is there at all, for that fight. That's just the truth.
Not that big.
But if we're gauging, you know, what came as a result of Wilder and Fury locking horns? What was the end result of that? Well, it seems to have helped Tyson Fury land a bit of a payday, because now he's going to get $15 million for participating in a WWE event. I mean, that's what came of it. An increased awareness amongst Americans of Tyson Fury. That seems to be the end result. Wilder, he's doing what he's been doing, you know? Going off on wild tangents and contradicting himself in the process. I mean, here he is downplaying Tyson Fury, but hey, newsflash, princess. You picked that guy 2 times over Anthony Joshua, who actually had world titles, and you didn't care. You picked the guy with the imaginary belt, so he can't be that bad.